Hi, I'm Patrick Giguère with Cosmic Alchemist Astrology, and thanks very much for tuning in. So, I want to get into a current event. I want to weigh in, give my 2 cents. This particular topic is the potential Atlantic mega tsunami that everybody's talking about. If you haven't been keeping up with things, this is all about an island called La Palma in the Canary Islands. So the Canary Islands are a Spanish colony. They're off the northwest corner of Africa, so off of Morocco and Western Sahara, a few hundred miles out into the Atlantic. And they are mountainous and they are volcanic. And there are, fault lines with, subduction zones and all that in the area. So people have been talking about two islands, La Palma and Hierro, for many years, and the potential for eruptions and megaquakes and landslides and all that kind of thing. So La Palma, for the last several weeks, has been erupting. There have been, lava flows down the mountain into the ocean, all that crazy stuff. People have had to evacuate, and there's speculation among scientists, and especially among kind of amateur scientific enthusiasts, that the island is going to break in two, and that a significant part of the island or the volcanic mountain is going to slide into the Atlantic and cause this mega tsunami and blah 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 blah, and swamp all the coastal cities of the Atlantic basin. So we're talking Western Africa, Europe, North America, South America. And I don't see this happening. This is we're living in a lot of fear right now, and this is the latest thing to be afraid of. A lot of people are using this for clickbait. They're using it to sell their services, sell their merchandise, or just get attention, build their channels. So I don't see this happening at all. Energetically and emotionally speaking, yeah, we are going to have a tsunami, but it's going to be within our consciousness. It's not going to be the ocean, overflowing and drinking the cities, the coastal cities. Not in the near term, anyway. So I don't see this happening for a number of reasons. Again, recently I was sent a video by Charlie Ward. If you don't know Charlie Ward, he and his buddy Simon Parks say that they're being guided by Q, and there's like a bunch of different Qs out there. Some people say, oh no, this Q is the real one, this one's fake, and they all say they're getting their information from the real Q. I think QAnon is, I think there are several QAnons. I think most of the information coming out, most of these Qs are contractors. They're former and retired intelligence officers that have been hired to create just misinformation, to confuse people, to keep people scared, to keep people chasing their tails mentally. I think most of what they're putting out is pretty much nonsense. It's fear-mongering, it's distraction. So anyway, Simon Parks and Charlie Ward, they gave like 3 different dates for the Trump inauguration, so it didn't happen on January 20th this year, but they were like, oh, just wait till February 4th. No, just wait till March this time. It's definitely happening. My sources say it's happening. These guys have been shown to be pretty full of shit. So I don't, and Charlie Ward puts out this video that a friend sent to me about, oh, this video could save millions of lives. Well, doesn't have a great track record of late. So yeah, I think he's either a willing tool or he's an unwitting tool, and somebody's spinning him up and getting him to make videos. So yeah, I don't see this happening, and so I'll give you the reasons. How are we doing? Yeah, I'm up 4 or 5 minutes. I'll give you the reasons, and I'll be done. So there's that saying, be there, be brilliant, and be gone. So first off, I checked the astrology. Now, a little tidbit about me. Tsunamis are definitely topic that get my attention. I was, after the Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004 that occurred on Boxing Day, so December 26th, the day after Christmas, I was in the U.S. Navy. I was a new intelligence officer, and we arrived on scene on New Year's Day 2005, about 5 days after the whole tsunami happened. We went to Aceh province, Indonesia, which is the northwestern tip of Sumatra. It's very remote. Basically, there were orders from the Pentagon to figure out how to provide some sort of humanitarian relief, which had never been done by an aircraft carrier before. But yeah, we were in Hong Kong for Christmas. We were supposed to go to Korea, but we ended up going to Indonesia. Pretty gnarly scene after a massive earthquake, 9.1 earthquake and tsunami. So yeah, anytime I hear about people talking about tsunamis, I look into it because I've seen the aftermath of it. That I think something like 250,000 or just under 250,000 people were killed in Indonesia alone by that tsunami, and it was, I think, 300,000 for the the rim of the Indian Ocean, with the vast majority being in Indonesia and Thailand, around Phuket, Thailand. So yeah, I always look into it when people talk about tsunamis or make predictions. But astrologically speaking, I don't see this. Now, what I see as having been the catalyst for that tsunami in 2004 was Pluto. So Pluto was at home in Scorpio. The primary ruler of Scorpio is Mars, of course, because Scorpio is the yin sign of Mars, but then it has Mars basically has two co-pilots that help it run Scorpio. It's got K2, the south node of the moon. K2 as we call it in Vedic astrology. And then it's got Pluto. Outer planets are not normally recognized, non-visible planets not usually used by Vedic astrology, but they knew about them, they just really didn't do anything with them, so I throw them in there. So yeah, Pluto is at home in Scorpio. Both deal with transformation. They deal with just sudden, shocking events that cause transformation, like illness, surgery, death, injury, sudden losses, sudden gains. So, but the bottom line is transformation. But they can also deal with like megadeth type of events. Pluto was in Scorpio for, didn't get the numbers straight, it was about 1996 through, I want to say about, or 1998 through about 2006. It was a pretty brief period. Pluto doesn't spend much time in there, and thank God for it, but it's the time that Pluto spent in Scorpio was pretty rough. We had 9/11, we had the botched invasion of Afghanistan, intentionally botched, the intentionally botched invasion of Iraq, and then a bunch of dirty wars under Bush and Obama. So it was a pretty bloody decade. It was kind of a megadeth kind of a decade, and there was a lot of devastation. So that had to do with Pluto in Scorpio. Yeah, I think it was about 98. Oh yeah, 98 or 96 through about, because about 2006, the end of 2006. So yeah, it was some rough times. So that's a perfect place for a tsunami to happen, Pluto and Scorpio. Pluto, the god of the underworld, deals with deep thoughts and emotions and deep unconscious issues that we don't want to deal with. And the deep transformations that get us to deal with them. Scorpio deals with deep unconscious thoughts, emotions, and issues. And so when you get Pluto in here, it drags all kinds of things out, basically for us to see and to deal with. So now another thing about this Pluto, which was in Scorpio back then on December 26, 2004, it was Gandanta. So you hear me in my videos talk about Gandanta. And if you're not familiar with Gandanta it's basically, there are 3 Gandanta zones in the zodiac. So it's when a planet goes from a water sign to a fire sign. And our subconscious and unconscious minds always associate water with emotions. This is why some people just don't like the water. They don't like to swim. They don't like being in the water. It brings up very unpleasant, understandably unpleasant emotions that are just difficult to deal with. So it's a trigger for some people. We all have this stuff, but water triggers some people because there is this unconscious association between emotions and water. So these 3 Gandanta zones, it's when let me see, Cancer transits to Leo, so water, fire. When Scorpio goes to Sagittarius, water to fire, and then Pisces to Aries, water to fire. So what happens is, in the final 2 degrees, so 28th and 29th degrees of the water sign, the fire in the neighboring sign basically boils and heats the water and turns it to steam. So it's expanding the emotions and it's making them volatile and violent and wanting to break out. And so really crazy things happen. And then, you know, the other Gandanta degrees are degrees 1 and 2 of the following fire sign, so the fire sign that follows the water sign. And the thing about this is the natural world responds to human consciousness. So in that decade, you know, we're talking 2001 on through, there was just a lot of wild, out of control, really heated emotions. Outrage after the, you know, the invasions of Iraq and Afghanistan, and the just needless death and destruction that all caused. A lot of outrage around the world. Terrorism was through the roof. It was crazy. So I think all the outrage in the world channeled itself into that tsunami event. Now at the same time, when we were on the way there, geologists from outside the NATO countries, so we're talking like South America, Africa, Middle East, even East Asia, you know, excluding Japan, were saying that the earthquake in Indonesia was not natural, and that it could likely have been caused by, say, like a nuclear weapon on a subduction zone on the fault line. So it was interesting, the whole world was outside of NATO was basically saying this. And I talked to, you know, engineers later, like, you know, Raytheon types, who were talking about how it was probably from a scalar weapon kind of a technology that they were maintaining for the Department of Defense. Basically, they have a big, it's like a giant HARP facility, but even bigger in Antarctica. And it's linked up to ships that sail around, and they basically bounce energy around. And there have been, you know, engineers and scientists who worked for Raytheon came out and said that that the Indonesian tsunami and then, you know, years later, the Christchurch earthquake in New Zealand were both caused when one of the ships, one of these ships that, you know, they maintain was the array was turned on and basically synced up with the one in Antarctica, and it put energy into that fault line to cause those earthquakes. So yeah, human consciousness still drives all this stuff, drives all these events. So point is, with all this, we do not have a Pluto in Scorpio right now with this whole La Palma volcanic eruption going on. We've got Pluto in Capricorn, recently come out of retrograde. And so this is, Capricorn is dealing with government, with authority, with all types of hierarchies all over the world. And it's basically dragging out the skeletons from all the closet of things that government and hierarchies and figures of authority have been hiding. It's also making them sneaky though, but to the point where they're going to get caught in the act of their bullshit. So yeah, Pluto is not in the place for this to happen. And Pluto really drives these, you know, biblical events, you might say, events of biblical proportion, disasters of biblical proportion. So that's why I'm just not seeing this. The catastrophe we have to deal with is this whole health thing that's been going on, people trying to force us pigs, the drug companies using their government puppets. So yeah, that's astrologically, that's the deal with that. There is going to be in December this lunar eclipse, solar eclipse in Scorpio, but I'm not seeing it for that either. I'm seeing something completely different. I'm gonna make reference to that in another video. So yeah, don't see the tsunami happening. And then, I'm no geologist, but I've read up and, I have studied physics and things like that. I've got some rudimentary understanding of things. So, outside of the astrology, one thing about this volcano is, so people are talking about part of the mountain breaking off, sliding into the Atlantic and causing an Atlantic mega tsunami. For a landslide to cause a mega tsunami, the odds are about the same as a meteor falling to Earth with a melted ice cream cone, on the surface of it. It's just, I don't see that happening. Landslides, when they happen, they're gradual. They'll cause some kind of a displacement wave, but they don't carry. A really extreme example of this is, I want to say it was in something like 1957, maybe in the early 60s in Alaska. There was a landslide in a fjord. If you're not familiar with the word fjord, a fjord it's an inlet in the ocean which basically it's very narrow and it has steep cliffs on both sides of it. So this one in Alaska, there was a landslide on one side. All the debris, all the rock and dirt and everything slid into the water down in the fjord, and then since it was steep, the cliffs on the other side channeled the water up. So the wave went something like 1,500 feet up the side of the cliff, and I think there was like a father and son out doing some commercial fishing, and their boat was washed like 1,500 feet up this cliff, and it kind of got hung up there, and they survived the whole thing. But waves like that don't carry far. They don't carry farther than a few miles, and this particular fjord in Alaska was maybe like a mile and a half wide. So they don't carry more than several miles. So yeah, the odds are very slim that an entire portion of this island or mountain would slide into the ocean all in one chunk, just like a meteor falling, just in the right way to cause a tsunami. I don't see it. I'll put a link to a landslide that happened in Malaysia, a video of a landslide that happened in Malaysia in 1993. It just kind of crumbled, and yeah, there were some waves, but there wasn't much to it. Odds are very slim on that one. And then as far as kind of wave height, so in Thailand and Indonesia back in 2004 in December, the waves that hit those coasts were in excess of 50 feet. That's because they were in the local area. So there was some displacement wave kind of factor contributing to that. So they got hit with the big ones, but then the waves went west across the Indian Ocean to the east coast of India, Bengal coast, to Sri Lanka, and into the Horn of Africa, like Somalia. Where is it? Yeah, Kenya's on the coast. By the time those waves had crossed the Indian Ocean, they were a lot smaller. I think when it hit Africa, it was maybe about 10, 12 feet at the worst. I think in India it was something like on the order of 15, in India and Sri Lanka. So these things die down as they cross large bodies of water. And I was looking it up, and really the tallest sustained height that a tsunami can sustain over long distances, it's about 10 meters. It's about 33, 35 feet. So all this talk about 1,000-foot, 500-foot waves hitting the east coast of North and South America, I think it's a bunch of bullshit, and it gets people's channels more views, more clicks. It's a bunch of clickbait. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. But what's interesting here is, I think, emotionally, energetically, yeah, we're going to get hit with a tsunami. If you look back to World War I, powerful intuitives like Carl Jung, like, oh God, his name just fell out of my head, Rudolf Steiner. People like that, they were occultists, but they were also healers. They were they had their hands in different pots. In the several years running up to World War I, which started in 1914, they kept having dreams and visions of an ocean wave sweeping over Europe up to the Alps, and they just couldn't understand it. And they were like, "Well, that's scientifically impossible. How could a wave sweep over Europe up to the Alps? And the foothills of the Alps are like, at least a couple thousand feet above sea level." So they wondered about it, and being into mental health, they knew it had something to do with emotion. And then World War I broke out, and it was the bloodiest war in recorded history, probably since like Atlantean times, because it was industrialized for the first time in a good 11, 12,000 years. So World War I, it was a wave that swept over Europe. It was a wave of out of control emotion and repressed emotion coming out. Repressed emotion, very, very Pluto, very Scorpio. And so, and a lot of people died in World War I, so it was very catastrophic. But this wave of emotion swept over Europe, and it was extremely catastrophic. So that is the type of tsunami that we're going to experience. It's going to be energetic and emotional in nature, because emotion, emotions, energy in motion. So, and I think what's going to drive this is, especially once people figure out what has been going on for years, for centuries, for millennia, that religious leaders have been doing, abusive things they've been doing to humanity, abusive things government and bankers and high level, not just all bankers, but high level, extremely high level bankers, elite level, extremely high level corporate executives, all these abusive things that these institutions and the leaders of institutions have been doing to humanity. This information is going to come out within the next few years in a big way, and people are going to go pretty crazy. It's like that expression, New Yorkers say it: people lose everything, they really lose it. When people figure out how they've been medical guinea pigs for the past year and a half, since these shots have been coming out that are extremely untested and dubiously safe, people are going to go nuts, and people are going to have a lot to be angry about in the next few years. So, yeah, not a literal tsunami, but an energetic, emotional one. I think that's pretty much it. I don't want to get into too many of the details of La Palma. I'm already over 20 minutes. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who watches these videos, likes, subscribes. It's very helpful. It's encouraging. Everybody who comments. And yeah, if you haven't had a Vedic astrology reading from me, I highly recommend it. It's not, I don't do astrology to entertain, I do it as an empowerment tool. So it helps you to navigate your life, see hidden talents, hidden opportunities, hidden pitfalls, and to see what, the themes of your deepest desires in life and your life's work are, ideally. I do rune readings too. It's a great mind map. See where your mind's opened, where it's blocked. And I have a couple videos for sale for download. Qigong videos. Qigong is a great mind-body practice. Awesome mind-body practice. It's literally changed my life. It's great for optimizing physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. So yeah, thanks a lot, and you'll be seeing more of me. Have a good one.